A major severe weather setup is taking place in parts of the United States as a trough comes through into the United States, bringing a potential for significant tornadoes, large hail, and some very destructive winds. So let's get right into the forecast. It is Monday, June 8th, 2026. And you can see here that we have a area to be watching for severe weather today out here in parts of the plains, and there's another one out here in the Ohio Valley. We have potential for an isolated tornado today, some damaging winds, and some hail. The Storm Prediction Center has a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk out here in parts of the Ohio Valley. Then there's also another marginal risk going from parts of the plains up into parts of southwestern Minnesota. So we're going to be watching both of these areas where isolated severe weather is going to be possible, but we have this level 2 out of 5 slight risk out here for parts of southern Nebraska, down to northeastern Colorado, and parts of Kansas. Where we do have some potentials for some scattered severe weather today. We do have a tornado risk today. We cannot rule out a strong tornado, potentially EF2+, if we really get one of those storms to develop and mature out here. So that's going to be something that we got to be watching very closely. This also has a 5% tornado risk with it. Then there's also a 2% tornado risk out here in parts of southern Illinois and parts of western Kentucky and southwestern Indiana. Cannot rule out an isolated brief spin-up tornado out there today. But we're also looking at the main concern, which is damaging winds and hail. So you can see here we do have potential for some damaging winds with potentially hurricane force 75 or potentially even more out here. So definitely make sure you're being aware for that, as there's a wind conditional intensity group 1 risk. We're also looking at a potential for large to very large hail today out here, mainly within this conditional intensity group 1 risk for hail. Looking at a potential for Hennig-sized hail, potentially more. So also be aware for that today. Then for tomorrow on Tuesday, we're going to have a bigger severe weather potential across parts of the northern plains and Midwest, with an enhanced risk outlined up here for parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, and northwestern Minnesota. I'm really watching Tuesday for a significant outbreak, where we do have potential for strong tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. If you check out the tornado risk, you can see that there is a 10% tornado risk placed up on parts of North Dakota. This includes Minot, Bismarck, and kind of those areas. You guys are in a 10% tornado risk for Tuesday. I'm really watching Tuesday very closely. This is also marked with a tornado conditional intensity group 1 risk, where a EF2+ tornado can't be ruled out tomorrow on Tuesday up here. The storms are going to develop in the evening and kind of push through those areas, but the main uncertainty is the storm mode, so we don't know if they're going to remain discrete for that long. If they do remain discrete, I would expect a potential upgrade by the Storm Prediction Center for adding like a SIG 2 tornado risk or potentially a 15% tornado risk. So we'll keep a very close eye on that. Or they might just turn into a line, and they won't be discrete for that long. We'll see what storm mode there is, but it just depends on what models are showing. You can see here, we do also have a chance for some damaging winds tomorrow out here. A pretty significant wind threat is going to develop out here. Wouldn't be surprised to see hurricane force 75 miles per hour or potentially even more. So we'll be watching that very closely. And there's another chance that we could see 75 miles per hour down here with some of those storms that develop, if they do develop. We're also looking at a chance for some hail. I think our hail risk is going to be a pretty big threat tomorrow. There is a 45% hail risk out here in the Bismarck and Minot, North Dakota area, so please make sure you're being aware for that. There's also hail conditional intensity group 1 risk, where we have a potential for Hennig-sized hail or potentially even more. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this got upgraded to a SIG 2 hail risk, so we'll keep an eye on that. I'm watching Wednesday very closely as well. I think Wednesday could be a very big severe weather setup, potentially the biggest one of June. As you can see here, there is a large area to be watching for severe weather on Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised if this got upgraded to a moderate risk, but this goes from eastern Kansas all the way up into parts of the Great Lakes region. The reason why I think that this could be upgraded to moderate risk is because we have all those ingredients, and it's a very big severe weather setup, and our environment is primed out there. So I want to rule out an upgrade to a moderate risk, but we will see. But there's going to be storms developing with potential for supercells producing significant tornadoes and large hail as well with damaging winds. And then that will kind of turn into a MCS and kind of push through as a line of storms as it moves down southeastward. As we get into Thursday, we will have another severe weather setup. This is for mainly the line of storms that we're going to be seeing from parts of northeastern Oklahoma all the way up into Michigan, as you can see right here. So definitely, if you're in this area on Thursday, definitely be aware. I think we're mainly looking at a chance for some damaging winds, though. There's a moderate risk of excessive rainfall out here in parts of southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, southeastern Kansas, and northeastern Oklahoma. I'm really watching for flooding out there, so definitely get to higher ground if you're in any of those flash flood warnings. But we're really just watching this whole area for potential excessive rainfall today that could lead to flooding, and then we're watching these areas tomorrow for potential excessive rainfall. Expect this to continue as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, and even Friday. This is our future radar for today. As you can see here, we're going to have some of these storms push through out here in parts of southwestern Missouri. Those could cause some flooding and some damaging winds. But we're going to have some storms start to develop out here in parts of Nebraska, southwestern Nebraska, producing some damaging winds, hail, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes, potentially EF2 plus strong tornado being a possibility. Those will mainly get their act together around 4 p.m. Eastern. We're also going to have some storms develop out here, so definitely make sure to be aware for that. And then those storms will kind of continue to push through those areas out there. And then it should die out as we get into the early morning hours of tomorrow on Tuesday. I'm not really concerned about today that much in terms of tornadoes. We do have a little bit of significant tornado parameter out there. I'm just really not concerned for anything too crazy today. If you check out updraft helicity here, there is some decent amounts out here. So this is definitely going to become something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't rule out maybe an upgrade with a damaging wind threat, as it looks like it could be a pretty significant damaging wind threat. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And there's a decent amount of CAPE out here too, which is basically storm fuel, getting up to around 4,000 joules per kilogram. I would say 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram, as you can see right here. So this is definitely going to be something that we got to be watching now. As we get into tomorrow on Tuesday, we'll have another severe weather threat out here in parts of the northern plains. This is the pretty big one that I'm watching, a pretty big severe weather threat. It depends how long these storms kind of stay discrete out here. We'll see how long they stay as discrete supercells. If they stay as discrete supercells for a long time, that's what the models are showing. And I think an upgrade will be on the table here. But you can see they'll kind of turn into a line of storms kind of quickly. And so that could make the tornado risk not be that high. We'll still have a pretty decent tornado risk, but it won't be for that long, I don't think. And then those storms kind of push through, producing a pretty significant damaging wind threat as we get into Tuesday. But storms should start developing on Tuesday around 5 p.m. Eastern. I think the peak will probably be from like 7 p.m. To like 10 p.m. So that's definitely going to be something that we got to be watching. Our environment out here is primed. We have all the ingredients. We got some decent amounts of significant tornado parameter out there. And we have a crazy amount of CAPE out here, which is just enough storm fuel out here for tomorrow. So it's definitely going to be something that we got to keep an eye on. The main question is what storm mode are we going to have out there? Definitely Bismarck on Tuesday. Make sure you are staying prepared for that severe weather. I think you guys could get hit by a storm potentially around 6:30 p.m. Eastern, around that time. Now, as we get into Wednesday, we're going to have some storms start to develop out there, some discrete supercells potentially, producing a chance for some large hail, some damaging winds, and some tornadoes. And if we don't come, the storm mode is also going to be a big question here. We'll see how long these storms stay discrete and everything. But this model kind of tends to overconvect a little bit. But you see, then they'll kind of turn into a line there. So the tornado risk might not be that crazy on Wednesday. We're definitely going to have a tornado risk, but it just depends how long it's going to last and stuff like that. But then it'll kind of turn into a big line of storms, MCS, and it'll kind of push through those areas, producing mainly a damaging wind threat and maybe a QLCS tornado threat as well. And our environment out there is primed on Wednesday. There's a decent amount of significant tornado parameter that I'm really keeping an eye on. There's also a very decent amount of our CAPE out here, which is the storm fuel. So I'm really watching this very closely. I think it's going to be a prime setup. And we're going to get some more storms to develop potentially on Thursday out there in parts of Iowa. And we should see a potential for a line of storms to develop out here. And that will kind of push southeastward into parts of the Ohio Valley. So definitely make sure you're having a way to get alerts on these days. Know where you're going to take shelter if needed. And definitely stay tuned to the forecast. Now let's talk about some of the fire weather, as we're going to be having some fire weather conditions out here in the southwest today. So definitely make sure you're aware for that. We got a critical fire weather risk from northern Arizona to parts of southern Wyoming. It's a critical fire weather risk, so definitely be aware for that. And this should continue as we get into tomorrow on Tuesday. Definitely stay aware if you're out here, and definitely don't try to start any wildfires and anything like that. And that's pretty much all I got for you in today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to click that notification bell to stay tuned, as I might be going live today. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful day. Bye.